To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's
puertas.
a wild ride in the wilderness.
When industry doors change.
Brian wanted to do something fun that I thought would be fun too. And that is like Disney word association. Is that right, Brian?
Yes, Disney word association. So one of us will pick something that, that has to do with Disney World. Maybe I'll say Skyliner. And then Mikhailo is going to say the very first thing that pops into his head related to Skyliner. And he's going to talk about why that popped into his head. So, got a word?
No, you go first.
Oh. Neverland.
I mean, Peter Pan and then Peter Pan's flight. And now I'm thinking of standing in that queue while it was broken down, and we were actually standing inside of the Wendy's room. And if you've ever been on that ride, you know that like that in that area of the queue, there's all these fun things happening everywhere, like lighting effects and stuff like that. So that was cool for about 5 minutes. And then I started to get frustrated because we were still standing in that line. I think I ended up like sitting down at one point, like we were in line for that long. But it was cool to kind of be in there and look at all the fun details. And I'm a big lighting nerd, so I ended up looking up, which I end up doing that on all the rides. Anyways, I always kind of look behind to see what kind of fixtures they're using. Most of the time they're ETC, if you know anything about lighting. Usually ETC. However, they have a couple Martin fixtures out front. I'm pretty sure all the fixtures that they use for Brian's shaking his head because I'm going into lighting nerd territory. We should do a show about that where I can just nerd out. But that is not this show. Anyways, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind was waiting in line at Peter Pan's flight the last time that I went.
So I need to interject. We're trying this new like cold open type of thing, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. But last week we cut out a long talk about smoking meat because I do that. I smoke meat. And it's another hobby of mine, and it got really long-winded, and we just got rid of it because it was not, topical. But here he goes on about his lighting, and so
to be fair, Brian, I was talking about Disney lighting. I could go on. I could probably fill a whole podcast about the Disney lighting and everything that's in there. But
that one listener would be snoring by the end of it.
It would be me. I'd be the only one that would be excited about it.
All right. You got a word for me?
Ears.
Well, the first thing that's popping into my head is all of the ears that my wife has to buy. She always gets the new pair when we go. And I just actually ordered the Haunted Mansion. They should be arriving tomorrow. A Haunted Mansion set of ears that she'll be getting tomorrow. So it doesn't faze me if I happen to see someone in this area not wearing ears or wearing a pair of ears now. It doesn't like faze me as much. Like I used to always be like, oh my gosh, somebody's wearing ears. But now I just feel like it's just part of my life so much that I'm going to just see them anyway. Because, we watch these videos of Molly or Tim Tracker or I don't know, name your vlogger, and they're always wearing some ears, right? So I'm just used to seeing them on people now.
Yeah, it's and actually I kind of want to talk about this after listening to that. And I had an experience kind of like this with a Spirit jersey where I was kind of like, Spirit jerseys are for girls. Honestly, at this point, I'd consider wearing a pair of ears if they're like a cool pair of ears. to the parks, like, and we're just wearing them there and just like showing how Disney I am. And I think my experience with the Spirit jersey has kind of like opened up my world to stuff like that, and like just not being like, oh, that's for girls, or not that like I'm gonna like go wear a dress or something, but just kind of not really worrying about it. Like if I like it, like I'm just gonna do it. And I think that's important with, especially if like with something like Disney, that it's pretty easy for people to kind of hate on it. If you like it, do it. And if you want to wear a pair of ears to the parks, wear a pair of ears. If you want to wear a Spirit jersey, wear a Spirit jersey.
I think that's one of the great things of Disney, is that it's so accepting of everyone that you can do that. I've thought about doing it. I'm probably one of the last people that would think it's okay to wear a pair of mini ears, but not that I'm saying that you shouldn't. Just that for myself, I wouldn't really think about doing it. But there are so many cool pairs of ears out there now that I would think about it, because I've bought the classic mini hat, or Mickey ears hat. I've even got one with my name embroidered on the back of it. You know, I look like a dweeb in that thing. Like it's too small for my head or something, but I still would like to wear ears sometime. So I've often considered the headband instead of the hat.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something. I also just think the way that I go to the parks normally, I feel like that might be, if I lived in Disney and I only had to be in Disney for a couple hours with a pair of ears, then yeah, I'd probably like definitely do that. Just show up and wear my pair of ears and take a couple pictures and ride a couple rides and peace out. But if you're going to be there for like the whole day, then you better be super okay with wearing those ears for the whole day. But yeah.
Well, I know my wife has had to take them off because the Disney ears in particular can become very uncomfortable during the day, because they can be so tight. Mm-hmm. And I've heard from many people. So anyway, word for you, guest.
You know, this is funny. I'm thinking guest relations, and I have two stories about guest relations. My first one, the one that popped into my head very, very first, was I had bought something at Test Track in the gift shop, or I had bought something somewhere. And I was back in the day, I don't know, you probably definitely can't do it now, but back in the day, you used to be able to sit in cars at Test Track. Like they had like a little like floor area with cars, and you could open them up and sit in there and everything. And I had lost my package, and we went back and we looked in all the cars and it wasn't there. So we went to guest relations. And I think this was like one of the first times I actually went to guest relations myself and talked to them. There isn't a good ending to the story. They didn't find it. But that's something that popped into my head, was losing whatever I bought in the parks and then going to guest relations and asking if anybody had found it. And I think that was one of the first times that I realized that Epcot does like a staggered close, because we went over there and we were like, oh, hey, I left a package somewhere. Like, would you guys be able to see if it's somewhere? And they were like, oh, the countries have already closed, but I think Test Track is still open or something like that. So yeah, that's the first thing that popped into my mind. And the second one was when recently I went to go change my regular tickets to Park Hopper tickets. And that was like seamless. Like it was like one of the easiest things I did while I was there. I just went to guest relations. The hardest part was waiting in line. There were like 4 people in line. And I went to guest relations, and I'm sure all day they were having people be like, "Oh, this didn't work," or "That I couldn't get this," or "How come I didn't get this fast?" And I was just like, "I want to spend more money and go to more parks." And they were like, "Oh yeah, totally sure." And I basically handed them my phone, and I was like, "Here's my account." Like, okay, you're done. And I was like in and out, and it did not take that long. It took a lot of money because we were updating 3 tickets, but yeah, that's another thing that came to mind. Guest relations while at the parks.
I've only been in the guest relations line once. And so early listeners probably know that I was into the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom game. And when you would go to a Halloween party, they'd hand out a special card. And so we did not get that card at the party, but we were in Magic Kingdom the next day. So I had heard that you could go to guest relations and get the card. So that's what I did. I went to guest relations, and thankfully there was not a long line. And they said, "Sorry, you're going to have to go to the firehouse." I looked at the firehouse, and there was a super long line. So I skipped on the card. Thankfully, I had someone else that went shortly after I did, and they were able to get me some cards. So I still got my card. But that was the only time I ever stood in line at guest relations. The reason I gave you that word is because right above your head says "Be our guest." So I was hoping you would say something about that, but you didn't, which was even better, I guess. So
Yeah, and I probably could have mentioned going to be our guest, but I didn't, and I won't.
you see what he did there? He did it anyway. Okay, so what do you got?
World Showcase.
That's 2 words.
Hyphen.
World Showcase. I love the World Showcase. First thing popping into my head would just be simply walking the World Showcase and sampling all that there is. I think recently we were talking about it, and I said I've always started on the Canada side and walked around that way, but that I need to starting on the Mexico side, because China and Mexico don't get my full attention because we're close to closing at that point. And I need to give them more attention. They feel left out. So that's about all I've got. World Showcase. I'm trying to think of a nice memory of then, but this is the first thing popping into your head. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I would probably say the same. The funny thing about World Showcase is for you and me, Brian, we like to think about how we're going to attack it and how we're going to walk around it. And so we kind of think of the same thing.
And I mean, that's because we're only there usually for like a day. So you got to figure out if you can make it all the way around without being drunk, Mikhailo. And I know some of you will enjoy that out there. Not to say that I haven't done it. But yeah, I mean, since we're only down there every so often, we got to figure out how we're going to make it all the way around. And every time we say, let's spend as much time in World Showcase as we can and really tackle each country. We have yet to actually be able to finish each country.
Okay, so I think we can do one more round. And then we can move on to the other Disney shenanigans we have planned for tonight. So you go ahead and give me one more word.
All right. How about villains?
Oh, definitely Halloween. I think about the Halloween stage show and how I've never seen it, and I've always wanted to go see it, and I've always wanted to go during Halloween. And so maybe this next year I'll plan a trip out there during Halloween, because that would be a lot of fun, and I'd be able to see that stage show. And I think about Hocus Pocus and how that's a big part of that stage show, and I love that movie, so I would love to go see that.
It'll be interesting to see if they go back to the party as it was, or if it's going to go with the after hours thing and be kind of a hybrid. Because that's kind of what the Christmas party ended up being, was a hybrid. And I'm guessing they probably like that higher price point that they were getting. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But, you've got 2.5 months to get there. Hopefully that's enough time that they run Halloween.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely on the bucket list, and probably something pretty easy to do. Just get out there during Halloween. So hopefully that can come sooner than later. Let me think of a word for you. Goofy.
Well, first of all, his face popped into my head. And then, for some reason, I went to the Festival of Fantasy Parade, which I don't even know if he's in that. But for some reason, I started thinking Clarabelle Cow. I don't know why. But now I'm picturing her like in the Christmas parade, because that's the last time I saw a picture of her, and like doing all of her cooking on that float. I don't know why my mind is going this direction, but interesting stuff that I'm thinking, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think Clarabelle Cow and Horace Horsecollar are pretty cool. They're one of those, a couple of those obscure characters, but they're fun. And I'm thinking of a time that I was watching Lou Mangello, and he was doing the Skyliner, and they had characters at a lot of the takeoff points, or maybe it was when you landed. But Horace Horsecollar and Clarabelle Cow were there, and like she was flirting with him, and he was getting all mad. It was really cool interaction of what was going on. So I don't know why Goofy turned into that, but it did. Goofy is one of my favorites. He's Fab Five, so he's got to be one of the favorites, right? I don't like his portrayal that they've made of him in the new cartoons, where he's like dirty all the time. I just don't understand that. That's not Goofy to me. Like, he's just kind of a clumsy, awesome dog.
Some of my favorite portrayals of Goofy have been those like sports documentary things that he's done. The one that's coming to mind is like skiing, where it like shows Goofy and he's like at the top of a mountain, and there's this announcer that's just like, skiing is one of the most quintessential winter sports, and like Goofy starts to like try to like show skiing, and he ends up like falling every so often and like doing all this goofy stuff. I think they had one for like football.
They did, yes.
Yeah. So though I honestly think that's like my favorite portrayal of Goofy, because he was never like, it was never like being weird. Like, he wasn't being goofy. Like in a sense that you would think. He was just kind of like going throughout his day. And it's almost like Ernest, where like he's so like he's got a good heart, but he like all these weird things kind of happen to him. I feel like that's Goofy. And so I always enjoy that.
Ernest, now there's a blast from the past.
Yeah, I watched I think my first Christmas movie this year was Ernest Saves Christmas. Fun fact, that movie was, parts of that movie at least, were filmed at Hollywood Studios. So boom.
He just got us on that one.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that. That's true. Good stuff. What do you got? What do you got next on the agenda here?
Next on the agenda, we're going to play a little game called Guess the Percentage. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to ask a question, something about Disney parks, and we're going to guess the percentage of guests that have either done that or experienced that or some kind of situation like that.
So I think that an example might be, what percentage has ridden Expedition Everest? And I'm going to say maybe about 85%.
And
because
then
you're going to have, go ahead.
And then I might say higher. Like I might say somewhere around 90% of people that go to Disney ride Everest, but to each their own.
And, we'll explain why we think that. And then we can move on to the next one. Does that work?
Yeah, I like that.
All right. I hope you cut a lot of this out.
I'm going to keep that just since you said it. I'm keeping it. And I'm drawing this out now just so that I know to keep it. Because if I don't, then I won't keep it. But we're keeping it, Brian. It stays.
All right, Mr. Mikhailo. What percentage of guests are excited to go into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge?
This is a big one right away. And I'm gonna go with a big number. And I'm gonna go ahead and say 97% of people are excited to go into Galaxy's Edge. Now, the reason I say that is because just how into Star Wars the population in general are. Now, that's not to say that there are a lot of people that would be more excited to do other things at Hollywood Studios. However, that's like the main draw right now. And so, and of course, there, like, I know several people who don't know Star Wars, don't really care for Star Wars. So, those people definitely exist, and they wouldn't care less if somebody brought them to Galaxy's Edge. I guess I wouldn't really say that, because Galaxy's Edge in general is a fun experience, but they just wouldn't be excited. Like, that wouldn't be the reason that they're going to Hollywood Studios. But just how insane Star Wars is just with the general public, I would say that the number would be extremely high of people who are excited to go to Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios.
I think your number is pretty high. I think there's a lot of excitement around Star Wars out there. I think it's definitely more popular within the States than it would be in another country. And because Disney World gets a lot of world travelers, I don't know that 97% is a good number. I'm going to go more around 60.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Of people that enter Hollywood Studios?
Of people, 60% of people that enter Galaxy's Edge are excited to be there.
Honestly, I would like maybe my number's too high, but I would say that number is far too low. In reality, possibly it's in the 70s or the 80s. But just with that draw, I mean, I know people who would go to Hollywood Studios just to go to see Star Wars.
But I know people that have no interest in Star Wars and may not even know what they're getting into when they walk in. Maybe they're excited when they walk out, but I don't know that they're going to be excited walking in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. I still think 66 is pretty low. I guess it's also you have to think about like where do the droves of people go to right away. It's like everybody's running over to Galaxy's Edge. And so for me, I don't know. It's possible my number is too high. I'm gonna stick with it. But it's probably somewhere in between our two numbers.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm probably guessing a little low here, but
so I will bring something up to you then. How many people do you think, or what is the percentage of guests that don't book a dining reservation?
ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. And this is for the whole trip, because I've gone on trips where I've only booked one dining reservation, and that would count. So like if you're going to Disney for your whole trip, you don't book a dining reservation.
Now, see, when you first said it, I was thinking, you just have the people that don't know, and when they get there, realize that they should have something, so they're going to go and book something for a later date within their vacation. But for somebody that just downright refuses to make a reservation for the entire trip and will take whatever they can get as they want it, I think you're going around, I'm going to say 8%.
Oh wow.
I think there's enough of us out there that say, oh, we can't get in without a reservation. Well, how do I do that? And then they will book something. Because in your everyday life, when you want to go out to dinner, many times you're going to book a reservation knowing that you want to go eat at a certain place. So it's not a foreign concept. It's not that far-fetched of an idea. Now, I think there are people that are going to go into Disney World and say, I don't want to have to plan around a meal. We'll just eat wherever we can. I'm going to go with that 8%.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's coming from a family that when we first started to go to Disney, we never made any kinds of reservations. And when we found out we needed to make reservations, we just walk away. I remember one time walking up to the China Pavilion and being like, oh, could we get a table here? And they looked at us like we were crazy. And they were like, oh, no, you need a reservation. And my family, we were just like, okay. And we walked away, and we ended up not making reservations at all for that trip. And I think the first time I ever did make a reservation at Disney was when I made one myself. And I was kind of old enough to like take the lead on the trip and everything. So I definitely know those families do exist. I'd say it's somewhere around like 10 to 15%. So definitely very low. So still kind of in that ballpark. But I do feel like, I don't know, there are those people out there that like, if they just can't get it instantly, and if they don't want to go through work to make something happen, that they just won't do it. So yeah, I would agree with you that it's very low. Kind of my guess is in like the 10%, 10 to 15% range.
Yeah, and I think we're on the same wavelength there. It's just a matter of what that number ends up being, but I think we're all both in the same ballpark idea. What percentage of people are at Epcot for the festival?
I'm going to go 23%. And the reason is I honestly don't think I've ever gone to Epcot strictly for a festival and done all the festival things, because I'm there to experience Epcot. So I'm experiencing everything. And then the festival, when I go, is like an added benefit. I'm like, oh, wow, there's this awesome festival going on. I can do all these things. I think it really comes down to the locals that are there. Now, that being said, um, I see all the time locals posting about these festivals going on. And so I would say there's a very small amount of people that will go to Epcot just for the festivals who aren't locals, but then also lumping locals into that equation. I feel like that's kind of what bumps the number up, because it could be very low of like just local people coming for the festivals. But I would think that a small amount of people who aren't locals that are coming for their vacation will go to Epcot only for the festival.
I think you're again in the same ballpark. It's a hard one to figure out because you do get, specifically during food and wine, you're going to get a lot of locals that just come in the evening for an evening of dinner with their friends or a night out with their spouse. It's hard to determine because mostly when I'm down there, again, I'm trying to do as much as possible when I'm in Epcot, so I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the festival. But we did make a special trip when we went to Epcot this time because my daughter wanted to take part in Flower and Garden. And by that, we just basically found some topiaries and ate some food, which, was fun in itself. There's other things going on though, like there's music, there's seminars at times. I wanted to get into the Odyssey building. We never made it over there because they had some extra things going on in there as well. So you have the small amount of people that don't know what's going on when they get there. So they're not there for the festival. I would say it's closer to maybe a third. I would go more like 33, 35% maybe.
Yeah, I could totally see that being right. But here's one for you. And this is kind of a big one. So we might be able to talk about this for a little bit. What percentage of people attending Disney World are already Disney Parks fans? So we would be talking about like you and me people, like Disney Parks people.
Are you saying in any given day?
Yeah.
At Disney World?
Yeah, any given day. Because obviously like Dapper Day, it's going to be a ton of people who are Disney Parks people. And other big Disney Parks days like that. But just like on a normal day at Disney World.
Normal day at Disney World, I would say the Fanatics number about 25%.
Yeah, that's kind of the number I had in my head too.
Yeah, I think there's more families, more, like they say a lot, the target market for Disney right now is the childless millennial because they have the most disposable income. And how many of those people are fanatics? I don't know. I don't know that there are enough to call them fanatics. And you've got your families that make that pilgrimage, And those are the people they want to suck every dollar out of that they can while you're there. So yeah, I think that 25% is pretty close. You interact with so many people online that you would think maybe it's higher, but I don't know. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I kind of had the same thoughts. And I think it's fun to be there and run into people like that. And I remember being in line for Rock and Roller Coaster, and there's this guy that had a sleeve of Disney tattoos, and I was just like, "Yo, that's so cool! Like, I wish I could do something like that." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a annual pass holder. I'm just here to hang out." And it was extra magic hours, and he had probably either like just got done doing something and just randomly came to Disney, or had like spent the whole day there. But it's fun to run into those types of people. But that's the thing, is that you've got all of your casual vacationers, and then your people, like you said, who make their pilgrimage, who are, I would almost consider them Disney people, but they're not fanatics. Like there's that family that like their go-to vacation is Disney, but they're not as into it as like people like us. So yeah, I would agree with that number. Anyways, let's do one more round of that, and then we can get to the finale of the episode. The real, this is what the people have been waiting for.
What percentage of people are there for the thrill rides?
This one's kind of tough, but it definitely is a thing. Our buddy Luke, went to Disney recently, and a lot of the things that he did were kind of more around thrill rides, because he had like not specifically Disney people with him. And that's kind of what they wanted to do, is they wanted to hit the thrill rides and then peace out, because that's kind of how other parks are like. So I think, again, it's hard, because I don't think it's a very big number, but it could be like your normie, like the normal way that you do a theme park is you go, or the normal way some people can go and do theme parks is it's like go hit the thrill rides, like the rides that you want to ride that are thrilling. And a lot of times thrill rides are people's favorite rides, people's favorite types of rides. So it could be kind of like a normie thing, like that's just kind of how people do theme parks. But how normie is the clientele for Disney? That's the question. Because they definitely have a good percentage of normies in there. But also, I mean, that's mixed in with families, people from other countries. So I'm gonna go with 25%. And the reason, so I was thinking 20 and I went with 25. And the reason is because I'm thinking more that I'm just thinking there's more people who are kind of more normie kind of people that are going to Disney. Like there's a large percentage of people who are just going to Disney because they've heard that Disney is fun and they want to go to a theme park. And I guess that kind of goes back to the last question that we had, which was the percentage of people who are like Disney adults. So yeah, I'm going to say 25% are people that just want to go to the theme parks to ride the thrill rides.
Yeah, and see, I think I'd be closer to 50. Anyway, I would do 50%. Because you take the 25% that are Disney adults, and earlier we were talking about, 10 to 15% that, or, I said 8% that may not know what's going on when they get there. I don't know. I feel like 50% of people are there for the thrill rides. And like you said, just like people heard Disney was cool. So, yeah, I feel like we give the people in the know too much credit sometimes. Like, we feel like there's a lot of us out there, but maybe there really aren't. I think that when it comes down to it, Disney makes their decisions not based on us Disney adults that get ticked off at every decision they make, but they're making their decision based on what they're seeing. They've got the actual numbers, we don't. So that's why I would go more with the 50%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with everything you said. I don't know. In my mind, I was thinking more like, I don't think families with younger kids would really be lumped into that. And I guess I've always kind of thought of that as like Disney's target market. It was like younger families. Even though I know that it's like not, but I've always thought that was like Disney's bread and butter. Like, that's when you get to that age as a parent where your kids, you kind of want to take them to Disney. That's kind of like that younger age that like they may not be into thrill rides at that point yet, but I know I'm just going to take my kids right away.
Well, and I think that is their bread and butter, right? Like, that's always who they're going to be, is the family oriented company, a family oriented park. But, they're still targeting the people with the money more than they're targeting their bread and butter. So I think they can always say, hey, we have this base, but how do we grow beyond that? And that's where we're talking childless millennials.
Yeah. Cool. Let me think of my last percentage question for you. Here's a good one. What percentage of people base their Disney vacation on a holiday?
I think you just mic dropped and walked out of the room, didn't you?
I did. I mic dropped. I'm not dropping this mic, but yeah, I mic dropped.
You said that, and my head just kind of started swimming. Like, there's only so many holidays. But then when you think about it, like, we just went through Christmas and New Year's, the busiest week of the year for Disney. But then, like, you want to avoid President's Day, you want to avoid Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and you want to avoid any 3-day weekend type of holidays, right? So you're going to want to stay away from Memorial Day maybe, or Labor Day, because people are going to take the time to go then. I'm still going to say, let's go 40%.
Oh.
It's less than half because, but I still think that because it's busier for those holidays, that, yeah, we're going to go 40%.
Okay. I was kind of thinking, I mean, and that's the thing, is that there are so many holidays. If you think more Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving in there, like, that's really not that long of a stretch for like people to be planning their vacations around it. However, there are just so many holidays out there, like days that are technically holidays. I'm thinking more like 55%, like just over 50. And it's only because anytime they have these like holiday events or like holiday offerings at all, they always sell out. They are just always sold out with all of this stuff. Like back when they had the and I understand that some of this can also be locals. But like when they had the Halloween party, that thing was selling out constantly. And so I just see that all the time, that anytime there's something holiday related or like a holiday type offering for the parks, like things just sell out constantly. And so I think that's, and it's also, you also have to take into account that most of the time, these families, those are the times that they're able to go. And honestly, the downtime, I'm doing air quotes because there is no slow time technically anymore for Disney. It's not the same. But
it's
like
just busy or busier.
Yeah, it's busiest. But like that down season is like after all of the holidays are done. It's usually when I try to go. But yeah, I would say just over 50, only because of how crazy the holidays get and how many holidays there are, and the fact that families will plan their vacations around like holiday break and stuff like that. Now would be, I feel like it would be a different question if we were talking like holiday party, like how many people would, and I feel like that would be a good question. And that's just like Disney analytics, like something that they have probably looked at before, like what percentage of people will decide to go on a vacation because of a holiday party. So
I like your train of thought there. I can definitely get on board with above 50%. I think that's a tough one. How do you quantify that? That's a tough one.
Cool. So we are going to end this episode with a little bit of Change My Mind. And if you haven't listened before, Change My Mind is that meme with the guy sitting at the table that says change my mind, and then you just input whatever controversial opinion you have. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna we've been calling this Disney hot takes. So maybe we haven't figured it out yet. We haven't figured out what what we're gonna call this. I like Disney hot takes. I think that makes more sense to Brian, but we'll see what keeps going with this. But I'll start with one. I still don't think I like Joffrey's.
That's an easy one. Go try it again, sir, and you'll change your mind.
So I say this because my sister recently texted me and she said, hey, I actually like the Joffrey's coffee grounds, because she got Joffrey's coffee grounds for Christmas from somebody.
Nice.
It's kind of funny. It was somebody random that she got as like a Secret Santa on the cast of Frozen. You know, somebody random that she's talked to before, but she didn't know if she knew that she was into Disney. I'm sure she asked somebody and they were like, oh, she likes Disney. And so that was something that she was able to find. But that was interesting. That was something that she texted me and she said, hey, I think I kind of like these coffee grounds. So I'll definitely give Joffrey's a chance. But we'll see. I think, I feel like it's going to be the same outcome, and I'm not going to, only because I am not a huge coffee drinker. Like I'll drink coffee and like I like a decent cup of coffee, but I like my coffee with like a crap ton of sugar and basically the way that Starbucks makes it. So that's the biggest issue with me, is that like Joffrey's coffee could be decent coffee, but if you're not piling that sugar in there for me, then I'm probably not going to like it.
I drink my coffee with some creamer. That's all I add. The pre-made liquid creamer. So being far from Disney, we look for all the deals and try to find things from the parks, maybe not buying it from the parks though. And at Home Goods, you can go a lot of times and find Joffrey's ground coffee. And we got the Halloween flavors, and we also got the Christmas flavors this last time around. The Winter Wonderland, I believe it's a white chocolate and caramel flavor. That was some caramel creamer. That's been my best cup so far. To the point that I just put in an order. I just actually received an order. I got 2 bags of Kona coffee from Kona Cafe. That stuff's amazing. And I did include the Winter Wonderland grounds in there. And I can't wait to open that. It's a good cup of coffee. So, and if, I'm not getting paid for this. So, if you go on there, just join their mailing list, they'll give you 25% off. Definitely worth it. If you put in an order over $50, I believe, or maybe it's over 70. I think I did an order. I paid $52 total with the $25 plus free shipping. I got 4 bags of coffee. And when the Kona coffee is $20 a bag, I think that's a pretty darn good deal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually have we have breaking news. Kylo just went online and found out that they actually have Joffrey's K-Cups. And they're like 50th, like Disney's 50th Joffrey's K-Cups. So that's interesting. I may, and these are like on Amazon. So I may have to pull they're 23.
You can order
$23.95.
Are they?
Yeah.
You can order them straight from Joffrey's too, so you might be able to get them cheaper through them.
Oh, okay.
With that 25% discount. And if you're a D23 member, you can get a 20% discount. But I've been able to reuse the mailing discount. So you might be able to just keep doing that for 25% off.
Nice. Cool. Well, I mean, I may have to give that a shot because that's really the only way that I make coffee at home is through K-Cups. But yeah, enough about Joffrey's. Brian, your turn.
Here's my hot take. The Star Wars Hotel is going to be epic.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you. However, there's a however. However, I don't know if I'll ever stay there. I honestly don't know. It's a boatload of money, which, I mean, like, I'm cool with spending a ton of money on Disney, but it's a boatload of money. And I don't know. I just don't think I could ever rip myself away from a typical Disney vacation. Maybe like when I get older and I have done the typical, I don't know, like, because I just don't think that vacation's ever going to get too old. But I don't know. I couldn't see myself being away from a typical Disney vacation for more than 2 days. I don't know. I while there, I'd probably just be like, "Hey, you guys want to go to the Contemporary?" Or like, I don't know, it's like something like, "You guys want to go to downtown Disney?" They must really keep you occupied. That's honestly the only way that I'd probably be able to stomach that, is like them just keeping me occupied while I'm there. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever stay there, but I would 100% agree with you with everything that they've done around Star Wars and everything that has come out, I think it's probably going to be pretty epic. I feel like there's not a lot of people out there who would really want to change your mind, but you never know. You never know.
So Mikhail, I don't know if you've been following the marketing nightmare that they've been going through with Star Wars Hotel. Background Thanksgiving, they released some PR videos that they eventually took some of them down because they were getting what the kids call ratioed on YouTube, where they got so many dislikes and so much negative, and negative reactions on YouTube that they eventually pulled the video down. And, like Josh D'Amaro is in a video where he's doing the lightsaber training, and it looks like, compared to what we're expecting to see, it looks like an 80s Atari game. Like there's like these lights shooting at you, and you've got a toy lightsaber that anyone might use in their house, right? They put out a video with, I think it was a guy from one of the Ish sitcoms that they have. I can't remember which one now, or maybe it was one Modern Family, one of those actors. But he went walking around the hotel, kind of showing some of the things in the hotel, and then he went to the cantina or the bar that they have, and there was supposed to be this singer, and she was obviously, like, you could totally tell that she was superimposed into the video later, like, we'll fix it and edit, and like that didn't seem to work either. So I have always held back my beliefs, my thoughts on what Disney is going to do with things until I see it, until I actually experience it, either for myself or through a video or through a vlogger, and see what other vloggers and people that, aren't being paid by Disney experience. So I think it's still going to be good. I think there's too much at stake with this. There's just too much to lose for this not to work. I think that they've got plenty of time before the March opening and the bad publicity that they got, that they can change things. They, hopefully they do. So I'm crossing my fingers that it was bad videos and just bad publicity, and not a true example of what you'll experience while you're there.
Yeah, and I actually feel like I've seen these videos, and everything that I've seen I thought was really cool. And we could probably have an entire episode on this, but I feel a lot of this stems from Star Wars fans' inability to be pleased. That is just an issue that has plagued almost everything Star Wars that has come out since the original trilogy. Just these people cannot be pleased with anything. Oh my God, I sound like the Diz. But it's crazy to me. Every Star Wars thing I go and see, it's space. Would you give it a minute? It's just like, it's space. There's space wizards, and they're shooting lasers, and there's laser swords. It's fun. Just like, be happy. So I don't know. I feel like a little bit of that can stem from the fact that just Star Wars fans are insanely hard to please. And it's kind of funny. This is turning into a Star Wars episode. It's funny how they will latch on to certain things. I thought it was crazy that, like, Rebels, like, people really got into the TV show Star Wars Rebels, and there was that other animated trilogy that people really enjoyed. And so like there's like things here and there like that like the Star Wars, the hardcore Star Wars fandom will like really embrace and really enjoy, but like it's just so hard to please that crowd that like I'm sure a little bit of it was the fact that like it's just so hard to please those people. But I feel like I've seen a lot of these videos I don't think I've seen the video with the superimposed lady. But I feel like I've seen a lot of these videos and just been like, oh yeah, that looks pretty cool. Maybe it's just because I've just condemned myself to never go there. So like I'm not really invested into it that much.
Well, and that's one of the problems, right? Like it's so expensive that you're expecting this to be better than the life that you're able, I don't know. You're expecting it to be better.
That's right.
I wasn't going there.
I know, yeah. But
things are awkward.
You were flubbing on stuff, and so I thought I might as well say that since we were going to cut it anyways. But
but you expect it to be better than a paper tube and hitting your sister over the head type of stuff.
That's fun though. I like that.
That is fun. But like when Josh D'Amaro says, do you want to see the lightsaber training? Like I'm expecting special effects, not some lights like shooting at me. I'm expecting like, this is going to be cool. Like I want to feel like if I got shot by a laser and because I missed it, I want to feel a little zap maybe. Like I want to do the actual thing that Luke did on the Millennium Falcon. I want to actually play Sabacc. Like the video shows them with holograms of cards in front of them. I want to do that. Like I've got the card game sitting here next to me. I don't need that in a $6,000 hotel stay, right? I need the holograms. I need all of the fun that comes with it. I want the people dressed up, all the different creatures. I want that experience. I want to walk into a cantina and think that there might be someone there that's going to rip my arm off, because I looked at him the wrong way. I don't like you either. So, anyway, like you said, we could make an entire episode on this one, but maybe it'd be better to take this one to Facebook. You guys, let us know what you think about Star Wars Hotel. Let's get this out on Facebook and tell us, what you're thinking. This is the perfect hot take moment right here. If you guys are agreeing with me, please let me know. I need some backup on this because right now online it feels like I'm the only one. If you guys think I'm nuts and it's just wasting a bunch of money, let me know. Tell me. I want to hear about it. We're on Facebook, Miles from Main Street Podcast. We're on Twitter at Miles Podcast, and we're on Instagram at Miles from Main Street. And we'd love to hear from you out there. Also, the one thing I always forget to say is we like to do trip reports. So if you guys have been on a trip, let us know that. Send us an email, Miles from Main Street Podcast at gmail.com, and let us know about your trip. We'll get you on the air. We'll get you on the show. We'll talk about your trip. We'll be able to relive it with you, live vicariously through you. It would be a lot of fun to have you do that with us. So give us an email and let us know about that one. Finally, before I turn this back over to you, Mikhailo, get on out and hit that subscribe button wherever you're getting your podcast. Spotify and Apple Podcasts let you leave reviews. That would help us out immensely if you can get out there and leave us a rating and review. So please do that. Mikhailo, I think that's it.
Great. Yeah, that's a good wrap up of all of our socials. I felt like this was a good episode. Always have fun with my buddy Brian here, but as we say, some live close
And others don't.
So let's talk about it. We'll see you guys next time on Miles from Main Street.